Something that I think is so cool is how often people will name their kids names that really, really fit their energy. I think that as moms, sometimes we channel like the energy of the child before they're born, and we can sense the nature of the child. And sometimes that will come out when we are pregnant. So some of these characteristics that we find in children later after they're born can be things that we experienced when we were pregnant. If you're kind of upset a lot and your child might be fussy when they come out, maybe you feel really loving and really rooted, and like your kid comes out really stable and calm. Maybe your interests change. Sometimes we can sort of pick up on a lot of these nuances that the child has later. So this is like something that I personally went through. Like my son, I named him a name that is synonymous with a specific planet, and I named him after a person. I named him after Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman Empire emperor, and I believe he was one of the best leaders ever. And when he came into this world, he was pure Mars energy, like intense, masculine, testosterone filled, pure, like action oriented Mars energy. And I didn't even really think about it when I named him, but it's interesting. He kicked me all through the pregnancy, all the time. He was always kicking me. And I personally feel like he is like the essence of Mars. And so it's so funny that I named him a derivative, Marcus being a derivative of the name Mars, the planet Mars. So if you look up your child's name, often there is like a planetary correspondence or some kind of plant or place, location. And a lot of times the child has a similar vibe to like the word that their name means, and the parent, the mother, usually is like picking up on that energy of that child. In the autobiography of a yogi, Yogananda talks about how you can create a saint-like child. And a saint-like child is typically from a curated home. So if you want to create like a saint or a spiritual type of child, you can pray and give offerings and follow a specific way of being. If you're interested in that, there's a book called The Yellow Book. And that book explains a very specific path you can take if you're trying to create a child that's very spiritually inclined. But also there is lore that states that Jesus's mother, Mary Magdalene, was from a particular Essene group, and that group taught her how to retain a certain amount of purity, her and the father, to father the child Jesus, who would be like a saint. So there have been people in different cultures around the world that pray for spiritually inclined children and even conceive on very specific dates, specific times. You can do planetary magic and correspond conception with particular times. So this is all very interesting, and the idea of creating saints or creating children who are carriers of specific attributes, I think is such an interesting concept. And I do believe in the future, like when we get to a better place as a society, I think this will become really common. This is, right now, we have a lot of children that are unwanted. When you look at like the abortion rates, and you have a lot of children that come into homes where the parents, it was not planned, they were not planned, and the parents are not really spiritually, emotionally, or physically ready, financially ready. Most children, like most people, their issues and most of the issues in society are caused by children that don't have a good upbringing, that were not wanted, that were brought into the world in really hectic emotional terrain and from parents that did not intentionally create them mindfully. And so in the future, people will spend a lot more time planning conception and planning their children's lives, and not just like genetically modifying what their children look like, more along the lines of trying to create a person who grows up to be a really mindful and meditative and spiritual individual. But yeah, go look up your kid's name and see if they have a name that is synonymous with anything, and see if it fits their personality. I think you might be surprised by what you find.